Turning now to your community focus, the opioid epidemic continues to claim lives every day. But is there a treatment that's being overlooked? Joining me now to discuss that and more, Senate Minority Whip Gordon Rogers. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I wanted to have you on because you've introduced a bill that's currently being held for further study. It seeks to increase the use of something called buprenorphine. It's commonly known as Suboxone. Yep. But isn't this treatment already available? Well,
Suboxone is a smaller dose, and they take it. Suboxone works 8 to 12 hours, and they'll take it with strips is one way of taking it.
Okay.
That's microdosing. The FDA 7 years ago approved macrodosing, where you can IM intramuscular by shot. Take a higher dose over a certain amount of time, and once you get up to your blood levels where it's effective, the shelf life's 45 to 90 days.
Wow.
And you can't overdose no matter what you do.
So instead of the oral treatment, you're really advocating for this injectable. Why did you want to introduce this bill?
Well, I had a conversation with somebody who lives in my town when I was swinging by, and she's a doctor, and I'm an EMT, volunteer firefighter, so I deal with it on the end where we find it. And I've given Narcan and intubated people. I've never dealt with it at the hospital end or the care on that end. So she had that conversation with me, and I'm like, Dr. Young was having this, and I'm like, I couldn't believe I was hearing it, you know. And her frustration was coming out that she's actually treating people, and it's actually working. And she was wondering why it's not being more used. So that's why I took it. I figured I can be a voice through the Senate. We had a hearing in HHS the other day, and they listened to about an hour. And to me, it was an eye-opener. We're going to change the language a little bit, but to me, it seems like a game changer.
So you hope it can at least spark a conversation about the way that this drug is being offered to folks struggling?
Yeah, it's not for everybody, but I think it's for most, it'll work out pretty good. Like I was explaining, you know, when you have an addiction and you have to take Suboxone every 8 hours, it's hard for you to distance yourself from that when you get a reminder every 8 hours. I mean, if you quit smoking, you know how hard that is. You'll see somebody smoking, it's a reminder. So if you can take a shot and not have to take another shot for another month, you know, 1 or 2 days may go by and you might not even realize, wow, it's been 3 days since I thought about this, and it gives you some distance, and also gives you the ability to act a normal life where you're not tied to having to take something every 8 to 12 hours.
Sure. Well, so since you're here in front of me, I want to switch gears a little bit because I know you have a background in construction. You're a DPW director. I'm wondering, you just had to drive over the Washington Bridge. It's obviously been a big topic of conversation. What lingering questions do you still have?
Well, I was ex officio, so I did sit on the oversight hearing, which was the beginning of it. I'm not looking forward to the ride home because it looks like it's worse going that way than it was coming this way. But the important part for me with oversight is we need to find what the problem was and where the breakdown was. You just don't shut a bridge down like that in one day.
Sure.
I've got bridges that over time will drop the weight loads, and then slowly you've got years to figure out, you know, before you have to change them. We need to find out what we didn't realize away, and so we doesn't create this problem again. We've got to find what the breakdown was so it doesn't happen again. It's not about finding blame, it's about finding where the system didn't work to give us some hindsight before it got to where it was at.
Yeah, where that breakdown was. We have less than 30 seconds, but you also are sponsoring a bill that would see taxpayers get a refund if the state has a surplus. 30 seconds or less. This sounds similar to what Massachusetts does. Why do you think it's a good idea here?
It is. I put it in last year, it didn't go anywhere. I put it in again this year. It's proportional on your taxes. If the state has a surplus, much like Massachusetts, you get it refunded back to the taxpayers on proportion of the taxes you paid in. So it's a good bill. I don't see why anybody should be against it, and hopefully it'll pass.
All right, that's all the time that we have. Senate Minority Whip Gordon Rogers, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.